Hi guys, it's Corrine, and today I'm here with another entry into my Smashbook. I'm using the My Crush book by Close to My Heart, and I will have the information in the description box below if you'd like to get one of those. I'm using a piece of paper from the Basic Gray Capture line. This is super cute paper. These are sized 6.5 by 9.5, and the piece of paper I'm using I cut down by about 1/4 of an inch on the 6.5 side. Here's some rub-ons by Doodlebug Designs, the So Easy collection. And I've had these in my stash for a very long time, but I highly recommend the Doodlebug Design rub-ons. They go on so easily. I'm going to add that below the wording there, today's celebration, and that is an Allie Edwards digital stamp. So I will also add a link in the description box below where I purchased that collection from, and I just simply printed it from my computer on that piece of paper. I'm just using my bone folder to rub that down. And here I'm pulling out a bin of cutouts that I have, just extras. I like to cut, when I'm cutting from a cameo, I like to cut out extra things. That way I can have things ready, to dig through and decide what I want to use for my Smashbook. I also have some journaling cards and stickers and rub-ons in this. So I like to kind of dig through this when I'm working in my Smashbook, like I said. I did also cut a few things out in preparation for this page, so I'll use those as well. And here I'm going to add the tape to the back of my photos, but I want to add a journaling card on the side, so I'm putting the journaling card where I want it to be, and then I'm adding the tape around it. That way it can slip in easily behind the photo. And the tape I'm using is by Viva Las Vegas Stamps. It's called Miracle Tape. I'll put a link in the description box below for that as well. It's comparable to score tape, but much cheaper. That there is a tab that I cut out from the Simple Stories Snap paper. And this Love This was cut from the Cameo. I'm using my Tim Holtz paper piercer to help remove the tape backing. It just makes it easier and quicker to pull that release paper off the back. So to add both that tab and the Love This cutout, I'll use my Scotch Quick Dry adhesive. And you'll see that when I press this down, I put a scrap piece of paper over it to really press it down. That way, if any glue comes out, it adheres to the paper and not my fingers. And that way I can really press it down hard without worrying about getting glue all over me. These are some tickets I cut from the Cameo. I'm going to adhere those with a stapler just because I like the look of the staples. And then I'll go ahead and just cut off the part that's hanging off on the back there. This is an arrow that I had in my stash, and I'm going to add a basic gray brad in the middle of it. So I'm just going to look and see which one I think goes better on the page. And then I will use my Tim Holtz paper piercer to pierce through the arrow and the page and then just adhere the brad. This is some American Crafts glitter tape in silver. And I'm just going to add a small piece at the bottom here underneath the photo, and then I have a scrap piece that I want to use up, so I add that towards the top just to balance the page out a little bit with the glitter tape. So that I'll cut into a banner shape and add it to that top photo there and wrap it around that photo. It's really sticky tape. Once you place it down, you cannot move it. This is a little speech bubble that I cut out from the Cameo. Again, using my quick dry to adhere it. And I'm using Tweezer B reverse tweezers to hold it. It really helps when you're trying to place something down that's really small. Kind of gets your hand out of the way so you can see better what you're doing. And I got those from Michael's, probably 6 or 7 years ago, and I used a coupon for them. But I've seen exact same ones at the dollar store, but they just did not have, they were not a name brand. This is a heart that I had in my stash, and it was blending in a little too much, so I used my Smashbook pen to add a border around it, but decided I didn't like it on there, so I use a pink one that matches a little bit better that I had laying on my desk. And here's a bow cut from the Cameo. I used some newsprint paper to cut it out. Not real newsprint paper, some paper I had in my stash that had newsprint on it. And this is a tiny little bow, again, I had sitting on my desk that I wanted to put to use. So it matches the other bow pretty well, so I went ahead and added that on there as well. I get asked all the time if my bows get smashed when they're in my book or if they get flattened, and usually I use a heavyweight cardstock to print them out or cut them out, and I use 110-pound cardstock, so they never get flattened. They may get pressed down a little bit, but they never get completely flattened. They hold up very well, and I don't really care if they do get a little bit flattened in my Smashbook, but they tend to hold up very well. So here I'm just showing you some Teresa Collins Summer Stories enamel dots that I'm adding to the page. So I'm going to use a few at the top and the bottom, and then I add one into the middle of the bow using my hot glue just to make sure it adheres well. Now I decided to balance the page out a little bit more. I wanted to add some of the rub-ons towards the top of the page as well. And what I'm doing here, I already had the tape on the back of this page. I take the tape off just the top of the page. That way I can get it exactly where I want it, make sure it's even before I remove the rest of the tape and place the paper down. And I remembered that I had a card to go along with those pictures, my Mother's Day card, so I wanted to make sure that card was adhered to the page next to it. So I just found a spot where I had 2 pages available to place those down. And then I decided I wanted to add a couple enamel dots towards the top of that. So I'm using the homemade enamel dots with some hot glue. And then lastly, I did not like how that card was staying open, so I added just a small piece of Velcro to it. I had little circle Velcro pieces, so I cut that in half and added it to the card, and that way it stays closed in my book. If you have any questions, please leave me a comment, and I appreciate you stopping by. Come find me on Facebook and Instagram, also under Corenescreations. Thanks for watching.